Wait. Is my sound working? See. No hable español. All right, well. Well, glad you can hear a little, I guess. I don't know what's going on. But hopefully we can figure it out. I know this is why I kind of prefer StreamYard rather than Restream, but because StreamYard is just easier, and Restream seems like you get so much technical difficulties. So, how is everyone doing in the chat? It's funny, it worked privately when we were talking and everything. I swear, technology sometimes hates me. Well, I guess it's just me doing it solo, I guess, for a while. So, hello, Eric. There's some tech problems going on right now. What did you do? Comes with the territory, Eric. You gotta, I think, just expect them at some point. You know?
Can you hear me now?
I can. I don't know if the chat can.
You can't hear me?
I can. You're good.
Thank you. What I was trying to tell you is talk about your show. Well, I was going to talk about what you do and what your channel is, but well, I told you in the live chat. In the live chat, I thought I told you I thought I thought I texted you in the private chat to talk about you.
Did I?
But okay.
Okay. Well, I'm Ty Romulus Nyberg. That's the stage name. That was kind of a. I was coming up with that. I was kind of. I had a couple coming up with that, but I thought it kind of sounded cool. But Junebug Films started out as a stereotypical movie review channel, but now I'm kind of trying to focus on making it into an actual media company, because I kind of want to kind of bring back the magic of the movies that we grew up with as kids, and especially mainly for Generation Alpha too. So that's mainly where the goals have kind of shifted. Right now, I'm doing interviews on the channel. I have the Phantasm Realm coming on October 31st, my 31st birthday, where it'll be a horror anthology made by YouTubers, where they can submit their horror movie shorts to me, and I'll upload them, and it'll kind of and then eventually there's going to probably, with the Phantasm Realm, hopefully there's going to be DVDs sold, and so they can at least I'm going to probably work it out where they can at least get a commission for their efforts on making it with the Phantasm Realm. I'm just in the slowly process of turning the YouTube channel into a company, basically. With only 533 subscribers, but hey, I mean, halfway there to get monetized. So,
yeah, the hardest part about monetization isn't the subscriber count; it's the view hours,
the watch time. Yeah, I'm roughly there. Eric in the chat here, I do sit down by the fire with him. We're going to plan on doing it hopefully every Friday, and even if we don't have a guest per se, we're going to do it just probably solo, because that I know community tab, and Eric can confirm it here in the chat. But we're next time we're going to do this Friday for Sit Down by the Fire. We're going to do Never Have I Ever. Both of us are going to play. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that game, but it should definitely be fun. Because it would be interesting just to play it. So that's the plan. We're going to just be doing Sit Down by the Fire hopefully every Friday. So
are you doing what Eric's doing and getting certified, or are you already certified?
I guess eventually I might get into SAG, but I want to be more like a Walt Disney type or a Louis B. Mayer, being the owner of a company, like a media company, like, a Disney or MGM or Paramount, to be the face of actual the whole studio.
Like a whole studio.
So like eventually I probably would get into SAG, mainly just because like, hey, if anybody wants to use me as a cameo in the movie and they're part of my studio, it's like, okay, fine. But I more want to do that because I mean I'm not gonna lie, I did want to be a director at first. But I've realized that my heroes in the industry of Hollywood were more, again, the Walt Disney, the man, not Disney, but Louis B. Mayer or most of the Warner Brothers, besides Jack, mainly just because he was not necessarily the nicest businessman in the world, with buying out his brother's contracts and everything, so he could be the one and only Warner brother. I would more want to be the face of an actual studio, is what I'm trying to do, because I want to try to at least, have the magic that we grew up with as kids back in the entertainment field. So.
All right. So, hold on. So you're probably not going to be creating any Junebug film cinematic universes anytime soon, or are you?
Maybe eventually under a Junebug brand, like I don't know. I mean, I have all I'll say is I would have stuff in my head on what I would like to do with the cinematic universe, but it would more just be a matter of getting the franchise rights to it, and that's easier said than done. So, like, it'll be more into the Junebug Films brand, if that makes sense. Like what Disney does.
Oh, I guess maybe you could tap into be part of Eric's Piss Me Off cinematic universe. He has going on.
Yeah, I kind of am. There is a video coming. I don't know when it's coming. That has my introduction. I mean, I guess I'll spoil it. There's a kind of a joke where I buy the rights to things that piss me off, and Eric, I know you're in the chat. Do not tell them what the amount is, because it's meant to be a joke. But I buy it for an obscene amount of money. Let's just say. So.
Nice. So I guess so what made you want to get into filmmaking?
I've always had a fascination with film. I mean, that, I've always just wanted to be a part of it. Like, I grew up, watching classic movies, especially on Turner Classic Movies and AMC, when AMC actually showed movies, and I always just wanted to be a part of that. And, I remember, being fascinated by the behind the scenes stuff with movies. It was just something I've always been interested in. I just don't even know how to answer the question, because it's just something, I guess, that caught my eye at that very early age in childhood,
Yes. Yeah, I thought you already were into SAG.
Nobody could get into SAG right now due to the current strikes right now. But he is in the process. Eric, you just shot a few headshots, which I can't wait to see those, because those are definitely going to be interesting. So.
So it's so you're a whole studio itself, not a director or a writer or an actor. You're
Yes, a studio, but I'm trying to work my way up to that. Like, I'm helping Eric make his movie. kind of, I guess the best way to describe what I'm calling myself as far as Eric's movies, because that's mainly the only big project I've worked on. I jokingly call myself a guidance producer, if that makes any sense. You know, mainly, I kind of, I'm not going to take full credit for it just because it was all Eric's doing. I kind of did give him a push to, reach out to the celebrities saying, go for it. I mean, the advice I gave him, is go reach out to celebrities for your movie because you never know. They could say yes and just go for it because I gave him the advice that everybody poops. So, you know. But I'm not going to take full credit. I'm not going to take full credit for that because I more just gave Eric a push. It was all Eric's doing. So, I mean, I guess you could call me that. I'm more like the term guidance producer because emotional support producer sounds like a, I don't know. That just doesn't. I like guidance producer. But and yes, he finally got a hold of Kane Hodder's agent and gave him the keys to SAG to call them. So, I'm not going to take full credit for that because that's not my thing. But I just told Eric, go reach out to them. The best they could do is say no. And I always just remember the quote from Tommy Boy. Why say no when it feels so good to say yes? I mean, and I've I've even tried to work with some other people, because you'll never be a good filmmaker unless you become a good salesman first. And I've been also trying to teach some of these filmmakers how to sell their product too, because you got to be a salesman first before you become a filmmaker. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of these young filmmakers on YouTube don't exactly have movie contracts when they actually should. And so I've kind of been giving them some sales advice, on how to sell your product. I mean, it's, you got to find the right hook, basically, that, grabs people's attention. And
so how would you sell your product?
a studio, it's a studio that is goal is to bring back the magic of the movies that we remember as children, sort of like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel and Cartoon Network back in the day is what I would start out with, and then kind of see where it goes from there. Because selling a studio more is I guess getting people for a studio, because I'm talking to people to get more of a brand out there, but it's starting a studio, especially now in the streaming age, when everybody's doing it, is easier said than done, but I'm always willing to climb that mountain, I guess. It's kind of it's an interesting question, but it's, it's more, you have to sit there and say, you have to give them the right hook on what your studio means, and then see if the people who are want to look at your studio further, if that makes any sense, because you have to tell them like what your studio means and what your plans are with the studio, and then see if they're interested in the studio. It's kind of different than selling a movie. So, if that makes any sense.
So there's no plans for a Junebug Films streaming Netflix Hulu service yet.
It's being looked at. It's more just, I'm not the biggest tech guy is the problem. And starting your own streaming service, the actual sites are to start your own streaming service, I mean, you can do it, but it's I think my goal would be mainly to get on like maybe Tubi or something first and build enough eventually to make the own studio because Eric has made it public. We're talking about getting the Things That Piss Me Off stuff on Tubi, and Tubi eventually, so everybody involved in Things That Piss Me Off can get paid. So,
all right. Yeah, I have a friend who's building his own recording label for music, and he's working with technical difficulties right now because one of the drummers got injured a few months ago in a car accident. But they're on and off screen working with Eric over there for music for his movie.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, honestly, starting a record studio is, it's a lot easier than starting a movie studio because movie studio, I'm kind of doing it interesting. Like where I'm building a movie studio. Usually, how most people do it is, they get involved in real estate or Patrick But David of Valuetainment. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. Him here, he sold insurance. Usually, you have to, have another job that pays a lot, and then sell that business, and then, do something like that. But my problem was, one of the reasons I was doing this was because I kept on getting fired from jobs, just because after COVID, and I'm like, well, if I keep getting fired, what am I going to do? So I just was like, I'll start my own business, And so, I mean, I just launched. I'm not plugging it by any means, but the only way I started selling merch in July, and so that's and right now it's just my logo that you always see in Vandalian's stream and Taking with Caffeine. You always see the logo, and that's one of the reasons why I had to put my logo, just because I like his show and I would like to see him succeed, and it's more this. Eventually when he gets, when you get big and everything, it would be an equal partnership. So, and because I just I want to build a brand with this, like the whole, like everything, just like everything that we see. And I want to build a media company. That's what I'm trying to do.
So, have you hit any roadblocks on your journey so far?
A little bit, because building something like this is more, like I have talked to a few. One of the things I'm trying to do is I've been trying to get a Junebug Films at least on cable TV, but now there's not really much of a market for cable TV, which I argue differently because there are a lot of people who still have cable, but the numbers aren't that drastic. But so that's mainly the biggest hurdle, is that people just, especially in my area. I mean, I'm in Kansas. The film market is really good in Kansas, but like the problem is in Kansas, I'll say this, they are supportive of young filmmakers, but sometimes you run into people that just aren't motivated, just, if that makes any sense,
So your current partnership, Eric's in chat. I was talking to him. So did you go to Eric, or did Eric come to you for this partnership?
I went to
you guys have right now?
I went to Eric because it's something that I've been, I mean, I just told him, hey, I would like to have my own media company because, I mean, it's no secret that, there's a multitude of reasons. We don't have to really get into it, but movies have kind of lost their punch. They're the magic that we remember as kids. And, I think that, I think that Eric, he has talent, and I would like him, and I think that honestly, I mean, Eric, has talent enough to win an, I honestly could see Eric winning an Oscar at some point. And so I just said, hey, I would love to be involved in future movies. Let's just put my logo on it because I told him I want to be a media, head. So.
So how long have you been doing this? Like for years now, months, 10 years, 50 years?
Well, I'm not that old yet. Eric and I did it in I reached out to Eric in May of last year. So it's been in the beginning stages of May, and after I kind of took it a little more seriously around July, just because at that point I kept on getting fired from. I used to do tree work actually, and I kept on getting fired. So I would go to company to company, and I got really tired of doing that. And honestly, tree work had a lot of there was just a lot of egos involved in tree work, and believe me, there's egos in Hollywood, but tree work though, it's different. It's like guys having their egos, and then accidents happen when you have a chainsaw, you're cutting down pieces of wood, and you have an ego. That's when accidents happen. I kind of just got tired of dealing with that, and I could write a book about some of the interesting stories that I've seen with tree work, because it's just like, wow.
And or make a movie about the tree work, the movie, the drama behind the fall.
I could. I don't know. I mean, well, usually I don't know how entertaining that movie would be, because usually what it is usually guys who run their own tree service business, at least here in Kansas, they decide to drink beer while running their chainsaw. So it's usually just more. It would be more like the Beavis and Butthead as far as chainsaw, but Beavis and Butthead hammered.
Well, what's that saying? Everyone has a fetish for something. So there's got to be someone who has a fetish for a tree service movie.
I guess we're. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's something to consider, but not in the pipeline soon, because I don't know. That would just be. It would just. I don't even know how that would work. It would just be a series of. It would just be like a short segment of dumb people being dumb. Like, I think that I think since I'm in doing things that piss me off, I think I would rather more do a segment on things that piss me off about it or something, and just. I guess ignorance on job site or something like that, So there's an idea.
Mm-hmm. So obviously you work with directors like Eric here. You also work with the strike going on. You can't do that much of it right now, but before the strike and stuff, you also work with writers and actors and stuff in your film company.
More just you. more just the YouTube side because I'm not established. I haven't really worked with a lot of like big time people. I'm working with another YouTuber a little bit, not so much as I'm. Eric's mainly the big guy I'm working with. One guy is his name is Zach D Productions. Shout out to him. But he's we're working. So Eric's the mainly big guy, but there's a few others I'm working with. So
All right. So, anything else you can tell me about what you do and stuff, or that sound? Or I think of questions.
well, I mean, it's mainly just like I said. This is mainly just a startup business, and I have that's that's all I can. That's all I really can talk about because I'm a startup. But I mean, Walt Disney, when he made Mickey Mouse, he drew it on the train, and he only had like $2 in his pocket at the time. So, you know, great things come from small beginnings, and that's just what I'm doing here.
So, have you created your Mickey Mouse, or your Bugs Bunny, or whatever, or any other mascot of your studio yet?
I haven't personally. Well, I guess my cat in my logo. She. I don't even. She is the mascot, or was, however we want to say it, because she has passed away. The channel is named after my my cat, who passed.
Cat's name was Junebug.
Mm-hmm. She was murdered by a car, and so I kind of named the channel after her, and then named the entire media company kind of after her, and
So we got a mouse, we got a rabbit, and we got a cat.
yeah, because I and I guess I'll tease something to the audience. I know Mickey Mouse is going to go into the public domain. Disney can have him, but I will tease that I have an idea for something with Disney's original mascot before Mickey Mouse. I have an idea for Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit, that would definitely make Disney. If done right, it could make Disney not exactly pleased, but they can't do anything about it because Oswald's public domain and the music is public domain, is what I'll say.
I was gonna say I can do what they did with Winnie the Pooh and make them like a serial killer, like they did with that franchise.
I mean, one of the things that Eric and I are doing, we're doing Dracula versus the Monster, which I think we're talking like 2025 for that, for a 2026 release. We were talking about that. So. Mainly, what reason why not create your own characters? It's because Hollywood right now is about IP, and if you create your own character, it's like, yeah, you could do that, but let's say hypothetically, say if you do create your own character and people don't like it, I mean, you could even argue to both sides, but like it's more about the IP. And yeah, but yeah, no, we were looking at public domain stuff, me and Eric, and yeah, as he confirmed in the chat, we were talking about doing Doctor Doolittle horror movie because the Doctor Doolittle books are in the public domain. But I'm like, I don't know how you would do that, really, because you would without going. Because the only thing we could think of was like Doctor Doolittle gets revenge on hunters or something, and has like the animals go after the hunters or something like that. Which I said but I don't know that budget we're talking at least.
Oh, 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 I thought something. A reverse Doctor Doolittle. Instead of the guy talking to animals, one animal is talking to humans. I'm like, I can hear humans talk.
Yeah, there's an idea.
Like one animal can hear the humans, and it drives him crazy. Uh, hmm. So basically, so anyway, so right now the trilogy, the Piss Me Off trilogy is your. It's, you have anything else besides the Piss Me Off trilogy to your name, or is that the biggest thing right now?
There is stuff with that Zach D Productions, although he has the problem that with him he has a hard time finding actors for his movies, so he acts a lot in himself in the movies, and he hasn't really forgotten much right now, just because he's acting. He does like all the roles in his movies, and I'm working with him a little bit. So Eric's a big one. There are a few others. One of the things I've been trying to do, there's a YouTuber, Italian Stallion 51. He has a YouTube series that honestly could be a spinoff of Things That Piss Me Off, called People Are Stupid, where obviously he just talks about how just everyday things that happen to him, or just people being dumb. I'm trying to convince him to do People Are Stupid, the motion picture. So because we he had a troll that once was making videos about him saying how movies aren't pictures and all this stuff. It's a long story, but that's basically what he was saying. But I'm like, you're not you're kind of wrong there, because that's what originally movies were called, motion pictures, and they just shortened to movies. So movies are pictures; they're literally moving images. So
I know so you're working with Eric, working with with live action and stuff. Do you have any like animated features in your studio? You're working with anybody right now, like cartoons or anime or anything like that?
um, there's a guy I'm talking to that does animation, although that's not really. Um, he's being very distant. Let's just say, mainly just because he's the only guy I've met that is doing animation. He's older, when I say older, he's like in his mid 50s, and he wants to start his own studio, but he's just very hesitant, and I'm just trying to convince him to go do it. Because I mean, you only have, you only live once. Why not just go for it and follow those dreams? As Eric has said before, the quote from Jim Carrey, life gives you opportunities. You can either take them or be too afraid to take them. So,
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, and that's what I just say to people. Sorry, that's what I just tell people. I listened to the quote from FDR, and no ways am I getting political. It's more just I'm quoting him.
Oh,
The
the only
only
thing to have to fear is fear itself.
exactly, or fear is the mind killer from Dune. You have to, just do it. You know, go for it. I mean, you only live once. You know, why not? The other thing Eric says too. You can, you can fail at what you can fail. At what taking the safe job. So why not follow the actual dream job that you want? Go for it. I mean, yeah, probably maybe have something to pay the bills, but look at something in my case. I mean, I kept on getting let go because of a multitude of reasons. I could tell stories all day about like what happened. Due, some payment, due to payment disputes, and then different ways of running the company in order to basically cut a lot of tree services are cutthroat when it comes to some of the time they run their business. And yes, sometimes you have to be that, but when it comes to I understand that more in a bigger business being cutthroat, but when you're a small town tree service, there's really no reason to be that like that. So
So you're not. So you're not. So you're not going to be out there putting down even smaller movie studios and monopolizing the Kansas market, are you?
no, I would
Like,
no, I would embrace them. I honestly would embrace them because I mean, competition's good. If some other Kansas studio came to town, it's like okay, bring it on.
be like,
You know,
like, no, this is my territory, punk.
yeah, no, it wouldn't be like that. It would be, hey, bring it on. Let's, because we live in an age where the internet is you can self market yourself. The internet can be your greatest self marketing if you actually have if somebody else in Kansas made a rival studio, I think I would at least just play it up a little bit, because
Okay, like competition is the best.
yeah,
Like,
bring it on. And I'm not gonna.
like, like, like in wrestling, the '90s wrestling terms, WWE versus WCW thing of the '90s,
Mhm.
but the movie Kansas Studios.
Yeah, I mean that's that's what I just say. I mean, just and like Eric said in the chat that I mean, look at the Winnie the Pooh horror movie. The internet definitely helped its marketing. I mean, you basically gave it free advertisement. That's one of the things that I even I would even direct my anybody who works under me. First of all, don't call your don't lash out at the fans if they give you criticism over the movie. And call them a whole bunch of names, you know, because the internet can either be your best friend in any type of business or your worst enemy. And
I,
so you have to sit there and kind of, I guess the best way to put it is the internet is capo de capi, the Godfather. You have to treat the internet with respect because if you don't, the internet can murder you and not send you to the afterlife. It can murder you online, which sometimes I
mm-hmm.
think would be the even worse sometimes. So
So, so a question for Eric in chat. fast. So when does the Take This Just Me Off franchise go to public domain? When can people start making parodies of that series?
Well, that's up to Eric, but I could actually answer that in a legal sense. Are we talking when he actually created it, or when, or do we want the legal answer? Because there's two answers to that question.
I'll take both.
Well, yes. Sorry, Eric. Technically, yes, he did create it in 2009. So 2104. Yeah, we'll all be dead. But technically, because it's not trademarked, technically things that piss me off is public domain because it's not trademarked. So so there's a legal sense of that. So sorry, Eric, I had to answer the question honestly, but I guess in a copyright sense, though, a lawyer could say, well, he is ripping me off because I did do this, and you have proof that you did it. You've done it for 15 years almost. So you could, but it's not trademarked is the thing. So technically things that piss me off is public domain. Even though a lawyer, it's one of those, it depends on a whole number of things, but yeah. If you actually took somebody made a rival series of things that piss me off and called it things that piss me off. So.
Speaking of laws and stuff, have you had to deal with a lot of lawyers and stuff in your filmmaking process studios?
No, not yet. Mainly the only time I've had to deal with lawyers is mainly to get an estimate on how much it costs to trademark Junebug films, which look, and especially trademarking the name Junebug Films, because when coming up with that name, I wanted to make sure that there was no other YouTubers, who had that name of Junebug Films. Luckily, there is not. There is another Junebug TV, which that was a strange coincidence because they created their channel a week. I was the first Junebug, and then they created their channel a week after me, and I don't even think they know about me. It's a series of, I think it's, and even if I got Junebug Films trademarked, especially how I spelled it, I wouldn't, honestly would not pursue anything because that person who, has the name Junebug TV, it's a little kid.
Is it the exact same? Is it the exact same spelling?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm not gonna do anything about it, even when it is trademarked. Mainly just because it's a little kid, and if they just play, I've seen some of the videos.
Yeah, I can see you now. So yeah, I can see it. I can see you now having the what's that guy that gives you a server march into a kindergarten class. You have been served.
Right.
Little guy at nap time.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not going to do anything about that one just because Junebug TV. First of all, kid, and it's harmless. They play. It's one of those games that, like, I'm 30 years old. I don't know what game they're playing. It's like looks like a Minecraft ripoff game, honestly, to me. So as I was saying, I'm 30 years old. I don't care what little kids play anymore. because I'm 30 years old, but sometimes I feel like I'm a lot older sometimes because, it's that classic expression that I've lived a life of 10 men. Uh, who could just get an unknown a lifetime to play Eric? You know, get some unknown actor to play Eric. Because in a lifetime.
The documentary, the making of Things That Piss Me Off.
Because that's the thing is, well, you would need somebody to play Eric, who's, I would say it. I mean, you could do it at his age now, but you would need somebody who's at least, I would say in their early 20s. And I don't know many actors in their early 20s.
Well, if Eric wants, he can play me if he ever makes a movie. If he ever makes the Talking Time with Caffeine movie, he can play me if he wants. If anyone's ever anything interested in that movie,
well, it'd be an interesting movie. It'd just be pretty much a talk show movie.
But all right. So, besides Eric's movie coming up right now, you have any other big projects that you're working on?
Well, the Phantasm Realm, again, where, honestly, anybody in the chat who actually makes movies besides Eric, I know Right on Target's already participated in one with one of his buddies. Anybody who is in the chat can submit a short to my email if you really want. It's literally ty.junebug@gmail. They can submit a short, send it as a drive. They can literally, it'll be like a short horror anthology made by YouTubers just to get their voices out there, because it's called the Phantasm Realm. Your deadline is at least the 25th of October. And that's the only reason I say that is that's the reason, so I can at least, edit it together and everything and have it premiere for October 31st. So far, I mean, I would say that there are only 2.5 shorts because one of them doesn't count because it's my own. I know there's only one short. So for that, but it's called the Phantasm Realm. So that's the big project that's coming out, but hopefully I get more than 2.5 shorts.
Okay. So, all right. For those who don't know who he is, here is his link in the description. There's his link in the chat right now. Check his channel out.
Awesome.
It'll be in the description below. Videos published, and obviously in the title too. But all right. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, Eric, Alma. Anybody have any questions for him?
I can answer Eric's question as well. I honestly do see Eric becoming a celebrity. I could see Eric doing something like that because he has charisma is the thing. And I'm not going to mention any names, but a lot of directors who, want to be directors, they don't have the charisma. Eric has charisma, and I think he could be, a director, I think he could become an actor. Like, I don't know, like, I think he does have talent.
Yeah.
What?
I thought you. Well, the thing is celebrity because technically you already are a celebrity. You're a YouTube celebrity, technically. So, but yeah, I can see you becoming a bigger time, beyond YouTube celebrity.
I could too. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't even. I mean, I'm only 535 subscribers. I always round up my subscribers, just because you know how YouTube is. You win some, lose some. I mean, you could fart wrong in today's society, and then somebody unsubscribes to you. And so I always round up my subscribers. So I'm about 535. So, but I don't know. I guess I'm already a celebrity kind of, because in my local town, a little, somebody recognized me and asked for my autograph. So you know, and what was the other questions?
So let's see.
I think it would be. And I think it'd be kind of cool to, work with, honestly, any celebrity, Eric. Like, it would be cool to even work with, I'm gonna, I'm feeling, like working with Johnny. I think it'd be kind of cool to like work with Johnny Depp or something like that. Or,
I guess it depends on the time because throughout the years, I've had different. I'll say crushes, not true, but I've had different like different years. I have different ooh, I like that. They're hot or they're awesome. Ever like. Because it depends on the time period, really.
I know a lot of people criticize her. I'm going to say, sorry to interrupt you. I know a lot of people criticize her, but I've always kind of defended her acting, because I always thought she was honestly kind of underrated as an actress. It's mainly just the scripts she gets, I think. I think it'd be kind of cool to work with Megan Fox. And yes, I am saying that because that was one of my crushes, when I was in high school. I mean, because when all of, pretty much I think everybody in the chat, when all of us were in high school, she was the Hollywood it girl. And I would actually just like to work with Megan Fox and actually maybe give her a better role.
Yeah. If this was the 90s, I'd be wanting to work with Ben Savage and Daniel Fishel from Boy Meets World.
I think I would. I think I would want to work with the Danica McKellar from.
Oh, from Wonder Years.
Yeah, it's kind of. She's really good looking now. I'm not gonna lie.
She's still. Well, they're both still. Well, technically, I think Daniel and I can't pronounce her name. When you just said and when I said earlier, they're both still looking in their 40s.
Yeah. Let's see.
Then I guess currently, I'd like to work with the MCU's Peter and MJ, Tom Holland and Zendaya in the current.
You know who I'm going to say? You just reminded me. You know who I would love to work with, because she seems like a very cool girl. I think I would like to work with Emma Stone. She seems.
Oh yeah, who played Gwen?
Yeah, she seems very cool and very down to earth. And I've heard she's very. I've heard she's pretty. She's actually one of the few celebrities that actually has a good head on her shoulder. I guess the only thing I've heard is. I guess the only thing I've heard that. The only negative thing I've heard about her is that she says because of the stress of Hollywood, she needs her smoke break. Which, if that, hey, that's up to her. Yes, Eric, Emma Stone is pretty good looking. But no, I mean, that's the thing about the celebrity. I would always just love to work with, any of these celebrities, just because. I mean, hey, if it happens, it happens. I mean, awesome. And yeah, Erica is right. Emma Stone did almost play Laurie Strode.
Hey, so Eric, you guys question. So Eddie, Alma, do you have any questions for Junebug before we wrap it up? You have anything on your channel coming up that you want to talk about, advertise?
Just mainly the Phantasm realm. Well, I guess go to my community tab if anybody wants to. Eric and I will be doing Never Have I Ever questions for, things that you sit down by the fire. So ask us questions. This is going to be a very interesting video just because it's like, okay, here's two dudes playing Never Have I Ever, but okay.
All right. And to answer Eric's questions, I don't know because I don't watch horror movies because they freak me out. I have a very low threshold for excitement. And blood and stuff. So
I think she could have worked, but the problem is though with Scout and Emma Stone is that they were too hot to play Laurie. Laurie's kind of supposed to be that nerdy girl in high school, so it would have been interesting. I guess it would have been better than somebody else who auditioned. I know Brooke Hogan auditioned, and that would have been like wow.
Hogan's daughter.
Yes, she auditioned.
Right. Alma has a question for you.
That's the thing, a movie that everybody loves, that everybody hates, but I love. There's so many of them. I mean, you know what I'm going to say? A lot of people don't like it for whatever reason, but I have a very lowbrow sense of humor sometimes. Sometimes on very, very lowbrow. So I actually do like 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler, the animated movie he did. And see, yes, Eric, I'm seeing the chat right now. Yes, Brooke Hogan auditioned to play Laurie Strode, which, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. As far as Rob Zombie's Halloween films, I don't know if I look at them as Halloween films is the weird part, or even Michael Myers films, but I like the brutalness of them. And yeah, so they're just, it's one of those things like I could say I like them maybe as a horror movie, but not as a Michael Myers movie, if that makes any sense.
To answer Eric's question, I was when you first talked about it. What was it? It's been a year now, or it hasn't been that long yet. When you first happened, I was like, "Wow, awesome." Let's see, he replied to you again more recently, and but yeah. Oh, and speaking of Eric and Halloween stuff, if you haven't seen it yet, last year, me, Eric, and our friend Snick Ominosum, we did a whole video about the entire cinematic universe of Halloween and this entire branched off weird timeline it has.
Yeah, I did. That is one idea I had, although I kind of want to focus more on, I guess, original ideas. And I know I mentioned I would do public domain things. So that's because it's public domain. I can use it for free. But one idea I at least had, and hey, if anybody in the chat is a picture maker and wants to do it, go ahead and do it. What I would love to see is a Halloween movie. You have to combine all the timelines, but make it like basically, I imagine Halloween, Crisis on Infinite Earths, because you just have all the Michael Myers fight each other to the death.
Like in one timeline, he's a crazy guy. Other timeline, he's still Laurie's brother. Other timeline, he's Rob Zombie.
Right. Well, yeah, because there's technically, it would be so it would be Halloween. It would be Halloween 2018, Halloween, and Halloween Kills Michael. So that's one Michael, and then it would be Halloween 2, Halloween Resurrection Michael, and then the Thorn trilogy Michael, and then the Rob Zombie Michael. But then you have to combine it with Season of the Witch. And the only way I could think about is just it basically a portal. And they all the Michaels come out of this portal and they have to go all fight each other.
So which Michael would win in that fight, in your opinion?
Fans are not going to like my answer, but I would have to say that Rob Zombie Michael, just because that guy is 6'8", so it's the tallest Michael, and he's the most brutal. So. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Eric. That was such an. See, that's why I love Eric's creative mind, and I have been trying to even get investors for Eric with things that piss me off to maybe get it, as far as maybe some sort of small theatrical release. And I've shown people stuff with Eric's stuff. And that's the best way I've been pitching things that piss me off. It's Monty Python meets South Park, and I think it really works with that if you explain it to that with people, and then I show people things that piss me off. I mean, all I'll say is I've been trying to sell things to people with things that piss me off, as far as like even merchandising it, like making things that piss me off, action figures, or we also talked in the future about things that piss me off, video games, or
think that pissed me off. Things that pissed me off, the animated series.
Never thought of that, but sure. We've even talked about. I've even all I'll say is this: I've even talked to even a local comic book company in Kansas City about possibly even making a things that piss me off comic book. Haven't heard back from them, but
I thought of something. Piss Me Off rivalry. You could have the cartoon version of Junebug Cat versus Eric Simba dog, like fighting, or either fighting or teaming up.
Well, I guess I could do that. You know, I guess, but one of the things I'm with the cat, at least what I was going to do, since the cat's no longer with us, this is more something maybe December, maybe next year I was planning on doing. One of the things I wanted to do was show public domain horror movie, or public domain movies in general, and then but then kind of treating it like Elvira or Mystery Science Theater, where I'm doing like a show within the movie, and I wanted to I tried to do it this, but it didn't it kind of came out weird. I wanted to make a puppet out of Junebug, and that way, Junebug can be kind of an actual character. Although I tried to make a puppet, but it out of a stuffed animal, gray cat that I bought. Although my hands are you can kind of see are very flat, and it did.
I used to do puppetry for when I was still in church. I used to do puppetry for the kids.
Yeah. So I found I found a puppet gray cat. She was a gray cat. I tried to do that. So I have it saved on my Amazon. I mean, not wish list, but it's in my cart. So that's one thing I was talking about doing, because I at least want to get better equipment, because I'm only on a track phone right now. Because I originally had an iPhone, but there were some weird tech issues with my iPhone. Sorry. So at least for my birthday that's coming up, I think I'm at least going to probably ask for an iPad, and so I can at least get iMovie back and just just mainly use the iPad only for YouTube. And yes, I do have a 4K camera, but to answer right on target's question, yes, I do have a 4K camera, but I kind of don't really like to use that, mainly because I'm so accident prone sometimes that it's like I only have used it for special occasions, because with my luck, if I used it for YouTube, and I know that's what I originally said, so but it's more with my luck, like my cat would sit there, and one of my other cats would sit there and rub up against the camera, and then the tripod would fall, and then my lens would break or something, so, or I would, or with my butterfingers, I would sit there, be holding the camera, and then I would drop it, and then they would just break. So I'm always hesitant about using it, mainly just because I never want to break that, because that was even though I got a deal on it, that was quite an expensive camera.
But now I can't. Back to what I was saying before. Now I can't get out of my head now. The next Mickey and Donald, or the next Bugs and Daffy being Junebug and Simba.
Well, I guess if I guess Eric could take my advice, we could do that. I'll buy it once I can get that Junebug gray cat puppet. I just have to add you can't quite see it because of the image, how it's gray and everything. But one of the things about Junebug is she had a little like white lightning bolt across her nose and across her chin. So we would do that. So Eric could make a puppet out of Simba, and that way, Simba could always be a part of things that piss me off. I mean, I'm sure, Eric, they have Beagle puppets on Amazon, so.
Or he could always 3D. He could always 3D print, buy a 3D printer and print off a more realistic Simba look-alike puppet.
Maybe.
Well,
So there you go, Eric. You could, that way Simba can always be a part of things that piss me off. You could have a puppet of Simba.
well, I can't think of anything else. So, thank you for being on.
You're welcome. And
like I said, sorry.
yeah, well, just my logo will always be on Vandellian's little podcast here. And because I mean, I find it interesting some of the people that he had. You've had people talk about the Roman Empire. You've talked about you had a guy talk about the life of plants, which was interesting. You've had a lot of interesting people, and if you ever really want to, I kind of see us sit down by the fire and talking time with caffeine. You maybe universe. Eric and I are interviewing people. I could see even we could even send some of the people to you that we're interviewing, because we've interviewed Sarah Karloff before. We interviewed Craig David Dowsett, who played Winnie the Pooh. We're talking to some other celebrities about interviewing them. I would just love to send them your way. Since I kind of started a little bit in May with Eric of last year, but now that I've kept on getting fired from tree work, it's just like, I'll say this, what actually truly inspired me was I watched a series on Hulu called, it basically where people built America, where like they talk about Henry Ford or the guy who made Kraft cheese. They talk about all these people who, I think these stuff that we, right now we just take for granted, these products that we all buy. And it kind of just, I guess, inspired me a little bit. Like the guy who made Kraft cheese literally was kind of in my position. He got fired from his job. And so he decided to make, because before that, you literally just had wheels of cheese that you would sit there and cut the mold off and then you would eat it. That's how cheese was before 1917. And this guy found a way to preserve cheese. And I think now we just kind of take something like that for granted. And so that's kind of what just inspired me. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just take it seriously now to run this company, because eventually it was just going to be, okay, well, I'll just go do this job and, work from there and build my way up. But then when I kept on getting fired again, and let go for a multitude of reasons, like I said, payment disputes and different ways of running businesses that I did not agree with, because I had, again, different ways of running the business. And it got to a point where, like, I felt really old because my bosses were younger than me. Now, I get it, but like my bosses were like my little brother's age or my little sister's age, and that it just made me feel old and awkward. So it's more just like that's one of the reasons why I started. And what are some of your guys' favorite movies? Eric asked. I did my top 500 favorite movies of all time on my channel. So I would say that, check that video out. I mean, because I like movies from all aspects of movies. And if anybody wants to be a filmmaker, I'll sit there and tell them that, you will never be a good filmmaker unless you understand your film history, because there's plenty of movies past 1985. Like, I met one guy who wanted to be a filmmaker, and he said the oldest movie he has seen was Planet of the Apes from 1968. I'm like, good movie, but there's plenty of movies that you're missing out on that could teach you more about filmmaking than anything, and that's more what I would like. That's one of the reasons why even I'm happy to do the partnership with Eric and even some of the other people I've partnered up with, is that they actually know their film history. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I jokingly call myself a self-described film historian mainly because I absorb history information like a sponge. So, and so, yeah, and I can't, and with Eric, yeah, I can't say I've actually literally have seen movies from 1890. Well, okay, technically they weren't movies yet. They were those movies that we're talking about pre 1914 were called Nickelodeons, and we're not talking Nickelodeon, the Nickelodeon that we all know and love. It was literally you put a nickel into this. It was like an arcade. It was like an arcade thing. You literally put a nickel into it, and you could watch a short little movie. That's how the 1910 Frankenstein originally was, that Eric said in the chat. So I've seen some very early Nickelodeons from the 1890s. I've even seen some of the earliest films ever made from the because film actually started in 1888. Thomas Edison took, let's just be honest, he took credit for inventing the film camera. He did not invent the film camera. And then, he had a patent over the, industry for years. And so that's why they moved to California, is because Thomas Edison controlled it. And so technically film as we know it started in 1914 with, Universal came there first to California, had success in 1911. And then in 1914, Paramount came with Cecil B. DeMille, Adolph Zukor, and Samuel Goldwyn, they ended up making what we know as Paramount Studios, because they were the first to make a feature, as they called it back in the day. They made a 4-reeler. So, and now Hollywood is kind of controlling everybody again, and controlling, basically being Thomas Edison now. So,
and to answer Eric's question, no, I haven't.
No.
But all right, before we go, do you have a catchphrase that you have a catchphrase that you say at the end of your series or anything like that you want to say now?
When I used to review movies, I would say, "Let's have a great time watching movies." So,
all right. And as I always say, never stop learning and enjoy the randomness. We will see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Stand by me. We won't stand by you, and if you trust me, well, I want everything to lie.